What's going on, you guys? My name is Matt and welcome to Downshift. This is going to be a halfway episode between a Fast 5 and a Wheel to Wheel. The reason for that being is I recently drove the sister vehicle to this Canyon, and that's the Chevy Colorado. However, what I have here with me is the GMC Canyon Denali. GMC is a step above Chevrolet, and the Denali is the top trim that you can get for something like this. In opposition, I had the Chevy Colorado ZR2 Bison, which is completely the other direction, and it is all off-road inspired. It's rugged, it's capable, and we're gonna see what the differences are and what the similarities are. When it comes to mid-size pickup trucks, you don't have a plethora of options to choose from. And if you want one with a little bit nicer interior, you have even fewer. Ford's Ranger Lariat is reasonably nice, but GMC's Canyon is a dressed up Colorado, and the Denali trim adds a little more finesse than anything else you'll see in the segment. From the Denali specific chrome grille to the upgraded 20-inch wheels and a myriad of Denali badges, this truck makes it known that it's nicer than your neighbor's Tacoma. Now what's interesting is the vast difference between these two vehicles. Both the Denali and the Bison are a more special and unique package and trim than you can get from the normal truck. However, the differentiation lies where the GMC goes for luxury and pomp, the Bison goes for brutish, rugged practicality. The Colorado uses raised multi-matic suspension, metal bumpers, and a whole suite of underbody cladding. With the same 5-foot bed that we saw in the Colorado, payload maxes out around 1,500 pounds. My Denali is the V6 rather than the diesel we had in the Colorado, but towing is only down 700 pounds to 7,000. That payload and towing capacity makes this Canyon a pretty capable little truck. And it looks pretty good on top of that. With this brownish gray paint, my favorite things are the wheels, however. Now if at this point you're asking yourself, Matt, why do you keep making the comparisons between this Denali and the Bison? They're totally different, you just showed us that. Well, hang with me because we're gonna go inside and that's where you're gonna see all the similarities start to kick in. The back seat should look pretty familiar and there's not much to talk about here. It's fine, it's just fine. Up front is where you're going to get deja vu. It's exactly the same as the Colorado, and the materials are almost exactly the same too. So I'm in a GMC, which is supposed to be a step up from the Chevy, and then on top of that, I'm in the Denali trim. So I want more than just a pleather wrapped dash. Oh, and come on GMC, give us real wood. This is silly. Now the next two things I'm going to complain about are a product of this Canyon being late in its product life cycle. And I would expect a new generation to fix this, but you don't get any keyless entry, your seat recline is manual, and your cluster just looks dated. However, don't understand me for shitting on this truck, you really get some nice features here. Wireless charging, heated and cooled seats, touchscreen infotainment with nav, Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, and a Wi-Fi enabled head unit. Ultimately, this Denali leaves a little bit to be desired in terms of build materials, but as far as functionality and accessories go, it's really, really nice. Now let's go for a drive and see how this thing handles. Now I haven't driven every truck, but I've driven pretty much every truck in this segment, and I can confidently say that this and maybe the Ford Ranger have the best ride in the segment. One of the things that I really like about this truck is the V6 that we have equipped here. This is the top of the line engine, and it's so smooth. It's a 3.6 liter V6 giving you 308 horsepower. It feels like the truck has enough power, but it doesn't feel overwhelmed. It doesn't feel underwhelmed on the opposite side. And the automatic gearbox does a great job at using the power and making it available to you. I'm averaging about 19, 20 miles to the gallon in combined driving this week, so that's not too bad either. And in terms of suspension, you do get a little bit of body roll, but this is a truck. And to be completely honest, this is one of the more planted feeling trucks that I've ever driven. It stays really composed and it's really uneventful in a corner. You can pitch it in at much faster speeds than I thought would be possible. But speaking of suspension, there is one thing to notice. When you first start the truck and it's cold in the morning and you don't have the radio on, at slow speeds you will hear a little bit of squeaking from the front axle. But once the car gets up to temperature, you have the radio on, you're really never going to notice it. So ultimately, driving this truck is really easy. It's really easy to just get in and go. The size is not overwhelming. I recently filmed this week a BMW M4 and an Audi RS5, and jumping from those low-slung sports cars into this, mid-sized truck I wasn't completely overwhelmed with the size. The visibility is great, the steering is nice and light, it's numb but it's precise, power is good and linear and it's very smooth from the powertrain, brakes are confident and the pedal travel is consistent. It doesn't have the same bite that you would expect from something like a sports car, but this isn't a sports car, obviously. So I think it's a good ride and feeling that suits this vehicle. And to be honest, other than the Ranger, I don't think anything else really touches this thing. So there you have it. That is the GMC Canyon Denali. And yeah, it's a little bit like a dressed up Chevy Colorado. But I think if they spent a little bit more time and money on really elevating the interior build materials, it would really stand out in the segment. Now really the only issue that I have with this thing is the sticker, and it's because it's above 40 grand, and that's just to start for this Denali trim. The reason that I have the issue with that is because you can get the Chevy Colorado Bison for about 50 grand, so that's $10,000 more, but you get the same comfortability in the cabin, you get really incredible practicality in terms of off-road performance, you get the diesel powertrain that's more efficient, so it really does a lot of the same things, but you have so much more utilitarianism with the Bison. And I know they're completely and totally different vehicles, and they're intended for different people, and they're intended for different things. But to me, I think I would spend the extra money and get the Bison, because let's be honest, that off-roading was super badass. Now I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, go ahead and hit that thumbs up, leave a comment, hit that subscribe button and the bell. That really helps me out, guys, so thank you so much for doing that. And I know I talked a lot about the Bison, so go ahead and hit this info card up here for the Chevy Colorado Bison that takes on the Ford Ranger. And then down here we have some of the most badass off-road trucks in the game, the Raptor and the TRD Pro.